Well, welcome back to the Be Unexpected podcast. And today we have with us head football coach of Northwestern, Matt McCarty. How are we doing, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's great to visit with you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. As spring ball is getting here started soon, we're excited to watch you guys this fall. And yeah, so we just want to dive into your story a little bit. Maybe share us where you're from, what kind of stirred your passion, yes, for football, and then obviously leading in to coaching and now head coach of Northwestern College.
Yeah, I guess I grew up in Northwest Iowa, so I grew up in Larchwood, Iowa, which is a small town in the far northwest part of the state as you can get. I went to West Lyon High School, and just very fortunate to grow up in the community that I grew up in, and so many people that influenced me in a positive way, whether it's teachers or coaches, and just really thankful for all my experiences there, and growing up. It's a really close-knit community. They really pride themselves in being a blue-collar community, and that's something I've really taken with me a lot as I've gotten into coaching. And I come from a big family. I'm the second youngest. I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters. For me, I think my competitiveness, that's where that started. And just growing up with trying to compete with older brothers and older siblings all the time, and just been around sports my whole life, watching them play, competing myself. I played 4 sports in high school and just tried to stay as busy as I possibly could. And football and baseball were my passion. Baseball was my favorite sport until probably my senior year of college. And it still might be. I don't know. I coach football now. But it's one of those where I knew early on that I wanted to get into coaching because of the coaches that I had. The positive impact that my coaches had, from my high school coaches to my college coaches, just feeling and seeing the impact that they had in my life. That I knew that was something that I wanted to be a part of and try to create something like that. And so I've been fortunate enough to coach at Northwestern now for 18 years, and I've been here for a long time. It's a special place, and I'm very passionate about this place and love this place. And and so I really am thankful that I get the opportunity to coach here.
You talk about the coaches that you had made an impact on your life. What coach specifically made an impact on your life in high school?
Yeah, I think, there were several, and I was fortunate to have some great coaches. And, Jay Roseboom is one that really jumps out. He was my high school football coach. Jay's one of the most successful high school coaches in the state of Iowa. But his attention to detail and just the discipline that he instilled in us as high school kids, and just the way that he cared about you off the field, and also pushed you to really never settle in anything that you did, whether it's school or football. Those are things that I think helped me grow and be successful as a student athlete, but then also things that I want to incorporate and use with our guys as well.
Yeah. So when you were in high school, even in middle school maybe, so you're playing football and baseball at West Lyon, correct?
Correct.
And then so you go on to play both at Northwestern. Did you go to Northwestern like, all right, I'm going to play this and just see which one's better, I'm going to try and do both? Or what is it like being a college student and athlete playing 2 sports?
I loved being able to do 2 sports. Part of it was I really liked competing all year round.
Yeah.
It was really busy. And, when I was in football, I loved competing in football. And as soon as baseball football was done, and I hopped right into baseball practices, and then I was fully engulfed in being a baseball player. And I would play baseball, finish our college season, and then I would play summer baseball until really the day before football started. And then I'd load my car up and head to Orange City to start football practice. It was fun. I enjoyed it. There's so many awesome experiences that I got to have being a dual sport athlete. The people that I got to meet, I got to, be influenced by another set of coaches. I just think it was an awesome experience being able to play 2 sports, and I was very fortunate that I was able to do that.
How good were you guys when you were in college for football and baseball?
Football, we were pretty solid. We made the playoffs twice in my 4 years. My freshman year, we made the national semifinals, and my senior year, we got beat in the quarterfinals. In baseball, my first 2 years we were pretty solid, and we struggled the last couple of years. But it was one of those experiences too that you do learn a lot in those situations, and I think you can learn a lot on how you handle, failure and some of those things are just as important.
Yeah. So leading out your college career, what position did you play?
In football, I played corner and then safety. In baseball, I played a little bit of everywhere. I played third base my freshman year, and then moved to the outfield after that, and really loved being a center fielder. That was kind of where I played the rest of my career.
Did you know you wanted to, so you're ending your college career, did you know you wanted to get into football? And then if so, did you go right into high school coaching, or was it a GA somewhere, or what was that process like?
It's a pretty unique situation for me. I was an education major. I knew I wanted to teach, and I actually, in terms of a teaching job, I had my dream job. I was a 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher. I was the head baseball coach, and then I was a volunteer football coach at Okoboji High School in Iowa. And, it was a great situation, a great school. But I kind of had this feeling that I wanted to get into college coaching. And, I was fortunate enough that after 1 year of teaching, the defensive coordinator that I played for at Northwestern left to take a high school coaching job. And the head coach that I played for offered me a job as a defensive coordinator, 24, 25 years old. And, I was in the offices quite a bit. I helped with camps a lot when I was playing. I knew I wanted to get into coaching. And so I was able to, a year out of college, become a defensive coordinator and at a great school, the school that I went to. And I did that for 11 years before becoming head coach.
Wow. What are the differences, would you say, between, you were a defense coordinator for 11 years, but now you're the head coach? Do you have some of the same responsibilities, or were you kind of like shocked, like, wow, my role, obviously your role is different, and now I'm in charge of this and this, but now as a head coach, like, you have a lot more on your plate, obviously.
You do, and there's so many things that I don't think you realize that you're in charge of, or have to, make sure things are going well. When you take that step, it's hard to really say, going from a coordinator to a head coach, how different it is. You do remove yourself a little bit, and you have to be able to delegate, and you have to be able to trust your coaches. And I'm fortunate that I've had on our staff an outstanding defensive coordinator and a couple great offensive coordinators that I've trusted and been able to delegate with those guys, a lot of our X's and O's. And for me as head coach, the culture of our program is the most important piece. And that's probably where I try to spend most of my time, is with our guys and making sure our culture's in place and the way that we do things matters. And our coordinators spend a lot more time on what we're doing X's and O wise.
Mm-hmm. So when you're going, well, first off, how long have you had your two coordinators been with you your whole time?
Our defensive coordinator has been with me this entire time. He was an assistant for me when I was a defensive coordinator, and he does an awesome job. And then our offensive coordinator, my first 6 years as head coach, we had the same offensive coordinator. He moved on to South Dakota State. Last year, we hired a new offensive coordinator who was with us just for 1 year. We won a national championship, and then he also got hired by South Dakota State. Wow. So now we're on to our third offensive coordinator, which is a guy who played for me the first 5 years and coached with us the last couple. So he's coming forth in the program.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been fun to see him recruiting him, and then now he's a coaching colleague of mine.
Speaking of recruiting, so what is it like when you're going in and recruiting these kids? What's the best part that you say, but then what is also the hardest part of recruiting these high school, junior college kids?
Yeah, recruiting is fun. Mm-hmm. You get to build a lot of relationships with kids, with coaches, with families, and I think that's the best piece of recruiting, is the relationships that you get to build with people. And really what you're looking for is the right fit. And I think that's what we're looking for, kids that are the right fit for our program. There may be some really talented football players that maybe don't fit our culture. But then it's the same thing for the kids. They're looking for the right fit. And, there's a lot of different places kids can compete. They're looking for the place that's the right fit for them. And that's really what it's all about, is we both are looking for the right fit. The hardest part of recruiting is building those relationships and then, seeing kids go somewhere else or choose to go somewhere else, but I totally understand, and you wish them the best, and you do invest a lot of time in kids and in those relationships. And you still follow those kids, and it's been fun to stay in touch with kids and see them down the road now with what they're doing. And so that recruiting is a lot of fun.
Yeah, all the time and investment, building the relationship. It's not like it goes completely out the window, but you lost the kid to Morningside, South Dakota State, USD, Midland, or wherever it is. So I'm sure it's tough to see that, but I'm sure you're happy for them to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you end up competing against them sometimes. And so there's some fun conversations after games with kids that pretty well from the recruiting process.
What was it like that first year? I saw you guys were 3-7, and then you go to a winning record, and then you just kept having a winning record. What was that first season like? You turned the program around, your first winning season for you, and that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, so to me, I would say Northwestern and coaching football here was one of my dream jobs. Being able to coach at my alma mater, it's pretty special. And, you're really excited to get that first, opportunity as a head coach. And then you have all these plans on things you want to do, and then you go 3-7. Definitely not how you draw things up or what you're hoping for. But we had so many successes that season. They just didn't show up on the scoreboard. And we were trying to make little changes, and you could see them in practice, and you could see them in games. You just didn't see those results on the scoreboard. But as the season went on, you could see our guys buying into our culture and the way that we wanted to do things. And you could see that it was a stepping stone in the right direction. And then the next season, we were fortunate enough to go 10-2 and make the quarterfinals. And, the 6 years since, we've been in the playoffs. And 2 of the last 3 years, we've been in the national championship. And this year, we were fortunate enough to win the national championship. But it all goes back to the foundation that was laid, during that 3-7 season. And Northwestern's only had 3 losing seasons in the last 50 years. Unfortunately, that was one of them. But that season was so important for us. And I remember on the bus ride back to our hotel from the national championship game this year, texting all of our seniors from that team and just telling them thanks for the foundation that they laid. And the reason we won this championship was because of those guys and the steps that we made during that season.
Yeah. So 2022 National Championship and your AFCA Coach of the Year. And I watched there's a small clip of your video on YouTube, and you said, do not get wrapped up in the business of the day-to-day, but find ways to positively impact the kids that you work with. And so, just maybe talk about how, I'm sure as a head football coach, you definitely could get wrapped up with being in your office and head down. But how are you intentional with your players and also your staff?
Yeah, I think that's so important, and really that's what it's all about for us. And within our program, we don't talk about winning a championship or winning our conference or winning a certain game. We always talk about the way that we do things, and we talk to our guys a lot about choosing to pursue excellence every day. And what that looks like is excellence we define as honoring God with our best. And every single one of us, whether it's player 1 to player 120 on our roster, every one of us every day can honor God with our best. And we can pursue excellence and the choices that we're making and the way that we do things. And in being intentional about the relationships that you have with your guys, and in practice, I'm going to try to walk around and connect with as many guys as I can. It could be just a simple conversation, how things are going. Hey, I saw you did something really good. I think it's important that they have those conversations and that they know that I'm interacting with them as much as I possibly can, and a lot of it's that I care about them not as a football player, but I care about them as a person and who they are. And within our program, our goal, we'll tell our guys this all the time. We want to meet every single one of our players where they are, and we want to love them, encourage them, and help each one of them be their best. And that's something we're passionate about. We feel like we can do is impacting them and help them be their best, and be their best as a student, be their best as a football player. be their best as a young man, because ultimately, the guys we're coaching aren't playing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, we want to help those guys go and be impactful as coaches, teachers, business people, husbands, fathers when they leave our program. And so, it's all about developing the men that we work with and giving them the tools that they can be successful in what they do within football, but also outside of football.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's great. That just taking an interest, like helping them, as you did. You had people impact your life, and so you can see that definitely trickled down, and that just doesn't. Yes, it leads to success on the field, but leads to success as, like you said, teachers, businessmen, future coaches, in whatever career.
Are there any players that, like a moment that stuck out to you that they really put the program first and what your culture really stands for your program?
Yeah, I think, just a couple moments, throughout, the time that I've been the head coach. And this year for us, if I go back to in June, one of our best players was diagnosed with cancer in June. One of our best defensive players was potential All-American this year. And seeing our players rally around him and just walk through that experience with him and encourage him, that was pretty special. And you could see the things that we've tried to teach our players, and the way that we handle adversity and the way that we handle difficult situations really help him through that time, but then see our players help each other through that time was pretty special. And that's when you can kind of recognize, like, it's more than just football. Mm-hmm. and the relationships and how much these guys care about each other, that's pretty special. And then as we went through the season, he recovered and was kind of back with us, a part of the team. And then as we went into the postseason, we actually had a second player diagnosed with cancer as well this year. And to see our players, have to go through that again, and just because they spend so much time, they care so much about each other, but to see them have to, go through that situation and watch another teammate go through that situation together, it is tough, but it's also special because it reaffirms that these, you have a great group of kids, and the way that they do things, the way they're there for one another, it just reaffirms how special that group is.
Yeah, and that's obviously, I'm sure that was really cool as a coach, seeing that. Obviously, it's never anything you want your players to go through, but to lead that group and to see those kind of kids rally around each other, it's awesome. You had mentioned that honoring God in whatever we're doing. So yeah, maybe talk about that, your relationship with God and relationship with Christ growing up, and when it kind of became possibly your own thing, or what that was like.
Yeah, no, that's great. And growing up in Larchwood's a Catholic community, and I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I went to all of the catechism classes. I was confirmed. I served in the church, and so that piece was really a part of my experience growing up. And then as I came to Northwestern, that's probably when my faith really became personal, and just the conversations I had with coaches or teammates, and really my wife, she was very impactful in that as well. And so that, I would say, during college was when my faith really became personal for me, and really became a part of my everyday life. And for me, as a coach and working with our guys, it's just being authentic. And I think that piece is so important, that I'm not trying to put on a front, but I want our guys to know who I am and see who I am, and they know that I care about them. But then having conversations with our guys, when they're in our office, we can have conversations about football, but we can have conversations about their faith and their faith journey. And with the guys that we have guys that are kind of really at all different spots on their faith journey. And so there's guys that I learn from, and there's guys that are new to the faith, and we're trying to help them kind of build a foundation that's going to be successful for them, and the things that we're teaching them. I think that's so important to just walk with them and meet them where they are, because that piece is big for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure the authenticity of you and the coaches is awesome because I'm sure, like you said, you have these kids coming from all different lifestyles, and everything's not, okay, yes, you're the head coach of the football team, but everything is not glamorous. Like, you're going through the struggles and things. And so for these kids to come in, like, hey, so-and-so is going at home or this and that, I'm sure it's very comforting to have that.
Yeah, and one of the things, that we talk about a lot, and we use the verse from 1 Thessalonians 5 about rejoice always. And it's one of those where you could see that through our team this fall and through some of our setbacks, but through the adversity of our guys that had to deal with a cancer diagnosis. But, things aren't always, everybody wants to say things are good or bad, right? They try to lump it into everything's good or everything's bad. But in reality, every situation is really both, right? There's good and bad in every situation. And sometimes it's more of one than the other, but being able to rejoice in every situation and take the positives from difficult situations is important because there's going to be difficulties in life. And, football, yeah, you have setbacks, you have losses, you have injuries, but in the grand scheme of things, those aren't that important, right? They're helping you hopefully learn how to handle the adversity that you're going to have in life. And we have two sayings. One is because of this, something good's going to happen. And the second one is it's in my best interest. And so because of this, something good's going to happen, or it's in my best interest. And so we try to get our guys to view things in that lens because, like I said, it's not good or bad. It's both. And so learn from the situation, take some of the bad that you can learn from and get better. But also to find the good because otherwise, different doors may open. But teaching our guys to handle things in those adversity, I think that's big. But so that's something that's been a huge part of our program, and it's been fun to see guys be able to apply that and use that in a meaningful way.
So do you guys all do kind of pray together as a team, or do you Bible study as a team, or do some players do their own thing, or how do you guys do that?
Yeah, we try to incorporate a variety. We pray together every day as a team. We lock up arms and we pray at the end of practice every single day. We do it at the end of every game. But then we also do a lot of small group activities. And with our roster the size that we have, we try to break into small groups of 10 to 12. And during our fall camp, we do a lot of small group activities. We actually end every day within small groups. But just different ways that they can get to know each other, but then they also can impact each other. And I think from shared experiences, it's so important for them because our upperclassmen have so much wisdom and shared experiences that they can share with our younger guys and help them learn from those. In the off season, we read a book every year together as a team. So from January till spring break, in early March, we read a book together. And again, we do that in small groups, and then we do some team activities. But that there's usually a faith theme within the book that, again, it's a similar message, maybe what I'm trying to tell them, but it's from a different voice. And so it helps me a little bit where they're reading it and they're working through that together. That's been great experiences for us.
What are some of the books you have read with the team over the years?
Yeah, so this year we just finished The Carpenter by John Gordon.
Oh, yeah. He's got a lot of
so that was that was a great one for just where we are, as a team right now. We read Pound the Stone by Joshua Medcalf. That was a really good one for us. We read Chase the Lion by Mark Batterson. And then we read Last Arrow by Erwin McManus. That was another really good one. We did Compete Every Day. And H3 Leadership by Brad Lomanick was another one that we've done.
Some good stuff.
So it's good. It's fun. I mean, our guys actually really look forward to it. We get to the end of the season, they're asking, what book are we reading next?
Yeah.
And I usually don't decide until late December because I try to find something that fits with where we are as a team and maybe the message that we need or just what we're going through at that time. Yeah. And we've been pretty blessed with the experiences that we've had going through those books.
This far into your being the head coach, did you ever think, at the one of the questions at the end of the year is like, hey, coach, what book are we gonna read this spring or whatever?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Definitely not. No, and it's one of those. I'm always like, is it something we need to keep doing?
Yeah.
And you kind of, I don't want to do stuff just to do stuff.
Yeah.
But then the guys will always ask, like, hey, what are we reading? What book are we doing? And that's pretty cool. And then when the guys are graduating and they're snagging books from my office, from other books to read, it's fun to see them have developed, something like that where that's going to help them in different ways they can learn.
Awesome. So kind of go back to like the national championship you guys won. I mean, you work in your whole, coaching career to get that, and just describe like the feeling it was, obviously for you, but your players to finally get over that hump and win the national championship for you guys.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome experience. It's hard to describe how awesome it is, and as awesome as you would imagine it would be, it's that good. For me, I was super excited for our players. We had 11 seniors decide to come back this year and use an extra year, use their fifth year. And we lost in the semifinals last year. And so that was kind of a big moment for us because those guys decided that they still had some unfinished business. And so to see those guys who have done a tremendous job for us and have been really impactful in building the culture within our program, to see them be able to finish up and go out on top as national champs was really special. And just the shared experience, you put in so much time with your staff. I'm fortunate to work with an outstanding group of coaches that just invest so much time into our kids, and just to be able to experience that together was pretty awesome. Our linebackers coach has coached with us for 27 years. He coached when I was playing. To see him to finally be a part of a national championship team was really special. Just the smiles on everybody's faces. And after the game, when we were on the field celebrating, and I saw guys that played at Northwestern, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and to see how excited everybody was about it was pretty special. And those are some things I'll never forget. Just how excited, so many people were for our program to be able to win another national championship.
So is that the school's first, or has there been more before that?
So it's first since 1983. So we won one in 73, 83, and then, so it had been 39 years. Yeah. And when we got back to Orange City, one of the coolest parts was we have Larry Corver, our football field's named after him. Our weight room's named after him. He's a Hall of Fame coach at Northwestern, won the first two national championships. And he was one of the first people that greeted us when we got back to Orange City. And that was pretty cool. It was fun to shake his hand and just to see the smile on his face and to see that he was proud of what this group has accomplished. And that was pretty special.
That's awesome. Where do they play the national championship?
So it kind of moves around in different every few years, but the last couple years it's been in Durham, North Carolina. And Durham was awesome. They were outstanding hosts. It was a fun experience. And I think for our guys, we were out there from Tuesday to Sunday, and Durham was outstanding.
That's cool. That's awesome. So a lot of talking football and outside. So what are some things? What's life like for you outside of being the head coach at Northwestern with your family, other stuff? Yeah,
life outside of Northwestern, it usually involves being in a gym or on a baseball field of some sort. So, my wife and I, we've been married for over 20 years. And she's probably one of the most impactful people in my life. And we have two awesome kids. Our son is a freshman, and our daughter is a seventh grader. And they're really busy. They play about every sport you can think of, but a lot of baseball. Watching our son play baseball, that's his favorite sport. So we're in a baseball field a lot of the time. And then our daughter loves volleyball, so we're in a gym, watching volleyball for much of the year. But it's so much fun watching them play and just sharing those experiences with them, and just watching them grow through those experiences as well. It's pretty special.
Awesome.
You get more nervous coaching or watching your kids play?
That's a good question. I would say definitely moments watching your kids play. Like I think I've grown out of the nervousness of coaching, just because
nice.
There's excitement still, but I think there's times where you're so confident in this, the way that your guys have prepared or your coaches have done things, that you're excited to play and see what things happen. But definitely more nerve-wracking when you're watching your kids, because you don't have any control over that.
Right.
I mean, it's, as a coach, you feel like you might have some control, but when you're watching your kids, I think pitching is probably the worst. When our son loves to pitch, he's a pitcher, and so when he's pitching, that's pretty nerve-wracking.
So what's next for Northwestern? So spring football, and then is there summer stuff leading up to start of fall?
Yeah, so we are just coming off of our spring break and just went through our winter workout stage. And so right now for us, next week we'll start our spring football practice in that stage. And for the next 5 weeks, we'll practice 3 times a week. And that'll take us almost to the end of the school year. And then once that's done, our guys will finish up with finals. We'll have our year-end celebration, kind of our year-end banquet with our football team. And then, we'll transition into summer workouts. And that's a really important stage, focused on just getting ourselves ready to play football. And then August we'll start up with practices again, and away we go with another season.
Is the schedule already out for next year, or does that come later in the spring?
I know our schedule. I don't think it's been officially released yet, but
Gotcha.
it is out. I mean,
Nice.
we know who we play or when we play.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
Well, thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate it, sharing your story and how you became to where you're at today. So we appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for taking time to visit with me, and it's fun hearing your guys' story, and I just appreciate you guys giving people the opportunity to share.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks, guys.